MBV is looking at Tesla. All right, so I have two trades and a forward-looking one. So Tesla, again, continuing to make lower lows. We have been watching this phenomenon for the past couple weeks, guys, on Pump Up the Close. It's very rare that this happens, but we've had the volume profile continue to shift lower. We've been saying that Tesla was going to be tradable at new lows, and it continues to do that. So use the volume profile, watch it to stock these. And again, no surprise, Tesla pre-market at 103. And I believe CJ called Tesla going to 100. We were all looking at that one to go lower, and the volume profile said, you bet. Next up, we're going to look at MRVL, Marvel. All right, MRVL. This is a forward-looking trade. I really like it today for a short. We did make a volume profile shift lower. We also just broke down from the volume profile as well. I like that we're rallying a little bit today. 35.83 is your resistance. This is where the breakdown started to happen from this volume profile. And so on any rally like we are being blessed with today, I would look to short Marvel to the downside here. Next up, we're going to look at LYFT, LYFT. So there's a nice little trade here in the future. If we do get a rally here, I'm liking this 50-day moving average. Getting above that, there's a nice thin zone here. I wouldn't do it yet. I'd want to get above this area, and then I'd want to capture this thin zone up to about 1350 and lift. But I need the trade to come to me. I need it to work out in that fashion in order to trade it. So keep LYFT on your radar for the upside, and I like Marvel today for the downside. But we're going to bring on Mark because Mark has the power of options knowledge and expertise and big money flow. And Mark, I'm curious if you're seeing any big money flow that maybe can get us into a trade here.
Yeah, actually, this is related to Lyft, but I actually want to ask you about Uber.
Okay.
Because we have a trader that is amassing a just massive bearish position in Uber. Over the last 3 days, they bought 115,000 of the 23 puts. Uber's trading about 25 and a half right now. They bought 25,000 yesterday. They bought 40,000 on Monday. They bought 40,000 on Tuesday. They bought some on Wednesday. This position is massive. And every day that it rallies, they just buy more and more and more. And I'm wondering what you're seeing in the charts because they are looking for this thing to die.
Ooh, that's kind of harrowing, Mark. That's really interesting that they keep loading up on any rally. I mean, look, we had a nice breakdown of the trinity of moving averages. We also have a volume profile breakdown, and we had a nice little retest. You know, I like a nice wick on the point of control or the volume profile breakdown. I don't have a downside target here because and let's see if I can pull a fib. What are they looking? How big of a move are we talking about, Mark?
I mean, they're buying the 23 puts for a quarter, so they're looking for sub 22.
Wow. I'm seeing 2150 would be the downside here, and that's just strictly using a fib level. But so Mark, would you piggyback on what they're doing, or is there maybe even a more clever way to trade this?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think if the volume profile might look interesting on Lyft, but if this trader is right, Uber and Lyft are both going to drop.
Wow.
There's no reason to buy the 30 cent option in January, but you could look closer to the money. The 25 puts are only 85 cents. They're actually going to be cheaper. They're going to be about 80 cents when we open today. And that's kind of an interesting trade, I think, with just kind of following this paper. Now, if they end up being wrong, then we know to ignore this paper going forward.
That's what I love your police work when you're trading the big money flow. And again, guys, pay attention to Mark and this is so useful. Like you said, you saw that WBD would be going higher. This is big money. They know what's going on. And if they're wrong, Mark knows how to read them and then won't use them in the future. But when they're right, man, and you continue to watch what they trade, it's so interesting, but most importantly, profitable for us. Hey, Mark, you also saw some big money flow in a Chinese stock, IQ. What are you catching there?
Yeah, and this is one I actually was hoping to kind of chat with you about. So this is one where traders were piling into January options. They started out buying the fives, bought the fives. Then when IQ got up to about 5.5, they sold out of them and then rolled up to the sevens in January, bought a whole boatload of those. Yesterday, what they were doing was unloading the 7 calls and then going out to February and buying the 10s. Now, the 10s are very aspirational, extremely aspirational in IQ.
Yeah.
But they were not levering up. They were actually taking a little money off the table as they were doing this, which tells me they're looking short term that this thing could drop, but they still want to be in play in case this thing totally takes off. I think IQ is set for a little bit of a reversal. When we get that reversal, though, let's say back to 5-ish, in between 4.5 and 5, I think there's a potential decent long there again.
And Mark, it looks like some of your traders in Profit Revolution were already in on this one. Asian Trader giving Mark a shout out. IQ, another great trade, still in it, up by 31%. So shout out to you, Asian Trader, and shout out to you guys in Profit Revolution already getting on this because Mark, you've been stalking this flow. But, just looking at the Fibonacci levels, again, because it's at a new high, I mean, check how it just ticked right off of that 50% Fibonacci level, which is the target, right? It kind of reached its target. Now, if we extended that, then we're going to look at, 750, but it does make sense why it's rolling over here and why that trader would take profit. So it looks like you guys already traded this, but would you get into a downside trade on this or leave it alone?
I might, and or I'll leave it alone. If I see somebody pile in with a big, huge put buy, then I'll jump on board. But if not, then I'll probably just wait and see and let this thing move before I jump in. It has weekly options, so we have a lot of flexibility to jump around in here. I was looking at the 6.5 puts for today, and they were about 8 cents, 7 cents. Would not be surprised if those come into play and you could make some pretty decent short term dollars just buying a put that expired today and getting out right before the close.